No Idea Podcast, numero 100 something. I don't know. It's a lot. We got D-Ray in here.
Yo. What's up, internet?
And I'm Russell. AD is tardy, but he will be here soon.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. You never know. But thanks to everybody for listening. Special shout out to Andrew Dighton for his back and forth with us last week. We always love the interaction there. Follow us on Twitter at NoIdeaCast. Email us at noideacast@gmail.com. Go to our SoundCloud page and like it and subscribe and all that good stuff at No Idea Cast. Do the same on iTunes. And then we're slowly but surely putting up YouTube videos. So like those, share those, all that good stuff. And and then special shout out to a couple of our supporters who brought us a No Idea cake and
what I'm saying?
All types
Birthday
of juice
cake
products and cheese and chip cookie products. We really appreciate that. So shout out to those special individuals.
Those special people. They're very special people.
Absolutely, they are. Oh, what you mean?
It's like I can hear myself through the.
Oh well, yeah.
Okay,
but that's Hey, we working with what we gotta.
Gotcha.
But it won't impact anything.
Okay.
Today's episode is brought to you by GameFly. If you are a gamer as I am, then GameFly is your spot. GameFly has thousands of new releases and classics available for rent for your favorite systems, including PS4 and Xbox One. Once you sign up with GameFly, you can rent as many console and handheld games as you'd like and get them delivered to your home for one low monthly fee. The best thing is, if you love a game, you get to keep it and just pay a low used price for it. No due dates or late fees. I mean, we are in 2017, right? In addition to games, you can also rent Blu-ray and DVD movies as part of the service for no extra charge. To give you the opportunity to check out their service, GameFly is offering a free premium 30-day one-game-out trial for No Idea podcast listeners. To take advantage of this, go to www.gameflyoffer.com/NoIdeaCast. Again, that's www.gameflyoffer.com/NoIdeaCast. They provide pre-addressed envelopes for easy returns and offer tons of games. And really, why buy 2 games for retail when you can pay about the same price and play however many games you like through GameFly? It's a no-brainer, guys. Go to www.gameflyoffer.com/NoIdeaCast for your free trial.
So, with that being said, a lot of stuff happened in the news this week. I know one thing we wanted to talk about. Well, at least I know I want to talk about.
We
was
definitely
the verbal beatdown on national TV that Joe Walsh took at the hands of Angela Rye.
Deservedly so.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like I'm going to try to find this and see if I can play it, just because it's so kind of epic to...
It was on CNN.
Yeah, it was on CNN. And so basically there was a back and forth. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Angela Rye. She's a political commentator for, I believe, CNN. Heavily left-leaning, African-American young lady. And I guess she got into it with a congressman by the name of Joe Walsh.
Former congressman.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you for that correction. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, who... basically has some really unpleasant things to say about Barack Obama and his presidency. And this is floating all around the internet, and so you very well may have actually seen that. But just in case you haven't, we're wanting to play it for you as well. You already have it pulled up?
I'm doing so now. I'm having to our lovely my internet was running slow tonight, but it's okay. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna download the app right quick, because I know it's got to be one of the top downloaded videos.
It has to be.
It has to be. Because it's all over social media. I probably should have just went to that first.
And you said that. Oh, you had some stuff with Trump you were talking about as well.
Well, yeah, wow. and Bill O'Reilly. But we can easily transition from Joe Walsh to Bill O'Reilly and what he said about Maxine Waters. which was that you just don't do that, brother. You just don't.
Oh yeah, with the James Brown thing.
Yeah,
right?
man. I just, brother. Listen. Obama's not even in office no more. He's somewhere in Hawaii jet skiing.
Right.
I don't know. Joe Walsh, man, I don't get that. And then on the same week to have Bill O'Reilly say he can't. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening because she had a wig on like James Brown.
Yeah,
that's just so disrespectful.
Really disrespectful.
And
you know what? It would have been disrespectful if an African American man had said it too. I saw a lot of stuff talking about. Well, it's not racist. It's not. Well, it. I don't know if it was racist or not. It has racist qualities to it, but
here's what makes it racist for me, because it's not Bill O'Reilly's first time saying something that could be questionable, right? So hold on, I think I got it. So it's not his first time, and then we definitely got to get into Paul Ryan, and them fumbling the repealing.
Oh yeah,
replace and repeal Obama.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
I can't.
The deal maker, the art of the deal, right?
It's difficult for me to call him Paul Ryan. I have to call him Eddie Munster, because with all the money that he's making, he got to get that Eddie replaced.
Man,
that big widow.
I call him spineless because he has no spine.
That's true.
He has no spine.
How do you go from openly condemning Donald Trump and saying you're not going to report him? Not going to support him. And then all of a sudden just doing a backflip, and now you're cheering him on and talking about how you're going to work with him, when there's like audio, video
of you saying
how
that we can't support him. He's terrible, and the whole nine. But I don't know. Paul Ryan has no spine, in my opinion. You know what? How about we just go to YouTube?
Well, that's where I was going to. Okay. And my internet isn't working properly either, but I think that really just shows the lack of integrity that Paul Ryan has. And you would think that his supporters would see that he does not have any integrity and would go ahead and, vote him out. But I guess people don't really care about that too much.
Well, and if you can't make a stand, here it is. If you can't make a stand on what you believe, if you can't make a determination and say, you know what, even if it costs me politically, I'm going to make this stand. Check this out.
This is the video.
Was a condescending jerk yesterday, and I think he probably was. But what does that have to do with race, and what does that have to do with sex? Brooke, Sean Spicer has been a condescending jerk to white male reporters a whole heck of a lot.
That's the reporter versus Sean Spicer. That's not even.
No, this is it.
It started that way. Okay.
Why does this always have to do with race and sex? It's ridiculous.
Angela, how do you feel about it?
I don't know if Sean Spicer is a racist. I don't know if Donald Trump is a racist. I don't know if the fallout that April experienced with Omarosa, who's a White House staffer, has challenges because of racial animus. What I do know is that April Ryan was disrespected yesterday, and it was unwarranted. What I do know is that Sean Spicer is not April Ryan's father, so he should not tell her she should and should not do. What I do know is that I'm sick and tired of this White House, as I was sick and tired of the campaign treating people less than, whether they're different because they are black, or they're different because they crossed the border, or they're different because they worship a different God, or their God is known by a different name. I am tired of difference being disrespected and mistreated by this White House.
Okay, so let me move on to...
Hey, Brooke, Angela, Brooke, Angela.
I'm not talking to bigots, Joe.
Go ahead,
I'm not talking to
to
bigots.
No. Angela had me. I agreed with the first 30 seconds where she went off there. I agreed with everything she said. Sean Spicer was a condescending jerk yesterday. But then Angela had to go to race. Why did it have anything to do with race? Angela, he has treated male white reporters horribly before too. What's the big deal?
Hold on, and why use the B word, Angela?
Because Joe is a bigot, and I'll give you an example of why. Since you brought up Twitter yesterday, here's Joe's tweet. And you're way wrong on your main point, Angela. We lowered the bar for Obama. He was held to a lower standard because he was black. That is Joe Walsh's tweet. You all decided to give Joe Walsh a platform today. I'm not giving him the time of day. I'm interested in having conversations, Brooke, that will move racial people of all races forward in this country. I'm interested in having a conversation that will help us to admit the wrongs that were done in this country and how we move forward. I am not interested in trying to convince and change the mind of a bigot, someone who will openly troll me and say things that are offensive that he knows are not true. Here we are.
Let me just ask you, can you explain to me what you meant by your initial comments and about the so-called presidential bar? Let's just back up for a second.
Hey, Brooke, that's me.
That's for Angela. Angela was on AC 360,
Okay.
and she had this conversation with about lowering the bar for President Trump. Here's the clip, and then Angela, I want you to explain what you meant.
Sure. I think that the bigger issue that I have, speaking of having no chill, is that if this would have been under the Obama administration, there would be no end to this. Barack Obama had to be the next best thing to Jesus. And here we are, just 2 months in and some change. And there is issue after issue. Maybe it's not Russian collusion. Maybe it's collusion with the Intel Committee chair. But it's highly problematic.
Angela, first to you. Tell me what you were getting at.
Sure, I think it speaks for itself. This president has been in turmoil since the campaign. He talked about grabbing women by their private parts. This is a man who, let's put the shoe on the other foot. Barack Obama, a black man in this country running for president with not one, not two, but 3 baby mothers. Let's, put the shoe on the other foot. Someone who took a loan from their father that they call a small loan of $1 million. Let's talk about all of those things. Someone who discriminated against people who were trying to just find spots in his housing facilities. Someone who took out full-page ads calling for the death of 5 young black and brown boys. If Barack Obama would have done any of that, Brooke, he would have never even made it to the general election, and that is the point. We're talking about a double standard. We're talking about lowering a bar. Barack Obama hurdled every bar that was put in front of him. When Michelle Obama talked about going high, when they go low, they did it at every turn. This is a woman who was called an ape. They put pictures up of Barack Obama looking like a monkey. These are the people I'm talking about. They hurdled everything that came their way, every obstacle. And this man, it's asinine to even think that this man is now in the White House. Here we are in the middle of an investigation, but Hillary Clinton's emails. So yeah, it's very frustrating. And I'm tired of people telling me that black people are beneath a standard when we have to be twice as good all the time. And that is why I said I'm not interested in having a dialogue with someone like Joe, who has demonstrated a propensity towards bigotry. And he did that on Twitter yesterday in 140 characters or less.
Whew.
Hey, Brooke, I apologize, Brooke, that you invited a bigot on your show. Look, my disagreement with Angela had nothing to do.
Wait, are you now calling Angela?
No, he's a bigot. He's apologizing for himself.
No. I'm sorry that Angela feels like I'm a bigot, and I apologize that you invited me, a bigot, onto your show. I know you wouldn't do that knowingly.
Okay, I appreciate that. I don't need an apology. I brought you on because of this conversation that you all, that happened over Twitter. I'm just trying to understand. I wanted to understand where Angela was coming from her initial comment. I want to understand why you had such a problem with what Angela said, and you took to Twitter and you let everyone know about it. I want to understand what your issue is with that.
And Brooke, thanks. My disagreement had nothing to do with Trump. When Angela was making her case, she said that Barack Obama somehow had to live up to this perfect Jesus Christ standard that no other president had to live up to. My disagreement, Brooke, was about that, because I find that laughable. And it's got nothing, again, to do with race. Never in our country's history have we had a president so, coddled and pampered and protected by the media like Barack Obama. That's not a high standard, Brooke. He was held to a very low standard because the media so loved him.
Did you or did you not say that you lowered the standard because he was black? Did you or did you not say that the standard was lowered because he was black? Did you or did you not say that?
Absolutely.
And that is what makes you a bigot, Joe. No, but that's what makes you a bigot.
Angela, can I answer?
Let me read the tweet. Just to be precise on the language. You're way wrong on your main point, Angela. We lowered the bar for Obama. He was held to a lower standard because he was black. Who's the
and who is we?
Yes.
Thank you.
Who's the we
is
Joe?
all of us. The we, Brooke, is not the we is the media. The we is white liberals. Barack Obama, I believe,
You're not a white
Brooke,
liberal.
and you can disagree with me. Angela, are you going to let me speak or not?
Are you going to say something while your mouth is moving?
Yes.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
This is horrible.
I'm talking about all of us. It was a big deal. We elected our first black president. That was a big deal. And because of that, we lowered the standard. We did not criticize him like all of our other presidents. We didn't vet him like all of our other presidents.
Oh my
we
God.
were invested in that first
He
black
was elected
president succeeding. Now,
just as President Trump was elected.
I'm just telling you what I think.
I'm sorry.
By the way,
where are Donald
that's
Trump's
racist.
tax returns? What are you talking about?
I'm not defending Trump.
No,
Angela,
but
I'm not
point is that
defending
Donald.
Trump.
So is Donald
No.
Trump's standard lower than Barack Obama's? Please tell me you see that.
Hey, you know what,
okay,
Angela?
well,
I think it's about the same. Barack Obama had no experience, and Donald Trump had no
That is
experience.
not true. Barack
we lowered
Obama
the bar
was a
after we
constitutional
elected
law
Obama.
professor. Barack Obama was a state legislator. Barack Obama was a senator in the United States Senate.
A
Barack
state
Obama,
senator in Illinois for 10 years?
I'm sorry,
We
and
elected a
he
state
actually served in
legislator?
Congress longer than you did, Joe.
was a
So you might
United
not wanna
States
talk
senator,
about lowering
guys.
the bar. You did one term. So
He
I'm
got
just saying
elected.
you did one
he
term.
wasn't.
So I'm
No, he wasn't.
you did one term. He
Angela.
served longer than
Angela,
you.
this
So
isn't
what kind of
about
bar?
me.
Okay, but it's about you attacking black people for having lower standards. Really?
Why,
Come on,
can
man.
you? Hey, Angela, can I not attack Barack Obama and not be a racist? Is that possible?
Did
Is
you
that
not
possible?
say that it was because he was black in the tweet? I didn't bring up race, Joe. This is all you. You went on Twitter yesterday and accused me of saying something I
Is
didn't.
it possible?
That
Is
you
it
later had to
possible?
apologize for it. Did you or did you not apologize
Angela,
for
is it
misspeaking
possible
on
to
me?
attack Barack
Oh my gosh.
Obama and not
Okay.
be a racist?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
We're
know
all
why you
talking
have a
over each
platform,
other.
but you don't deserve
No one can
You don't
understand what
deserve a
anyone's saying. No one can understand. I think we heard from both of you. I'm just sorry. I had no idea it would go this way. But I do appreciate hearing two very different voices on something very, very important. Let's just please be respectful to one another. We can have different opinions, but let's respect one another. Angela and Joe, thank you both so much.
You're listening to the No Idea Podcast, endorsing Town Place Suites, adding life to longer stays. We enjoy travelers who spend a lot of time on the road. Town Place Suites makes extended stay guests' lives easier with spacious suites, full kitchens, unique home office suites, free breakfast, complimentary Wi-Fi, laundry facilities, 24-hour complimentary coffee service, and a town map to help them connect to the local neighborhood. Rates starting at $99. Allow us to assist you with your travel needs at 972-780-9300. That's 972-780-9300. Oh, and make sure you hit up that lemon water. All right, back to you, Russell.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it. I didn't see the full clip, so I didn't know it started there and took that turn.
Took a nasty turn.
A couple things. Have you seen Get Out?
Yeah, I have seen that.
Okay, so Joe.
And by the way, I believe you said that. I don't know if we talked about this during the podcast or before or after, but I believe you said that it was more of a comedy than anything. That was, it had some funny moments, but that was kind of it was definitely a horror film.
Well, you know what, and maybe because I had to laugh it off because we live it.
Right.
I mean, we live that subtle racist, that subtle undertone so much that if you don't laugh it off, then you want to take up arms and do something else.
Right.
And so I laugh it off. But I want to, before we get into the meat of it, Brooke disappointed me. Every time I listen to that clip, the interviewer disappointed me.
I was thinking that same thing today because she did not really focus as much on Joe's comments as she probably should have. She let him off the hook to a certain
and then to say, well, let's be respectful of each other. We can disagree. No, some stuff is just wrong.
Right.
I'm sorry. Some stuff is just wrong. And and you're on cable news, which is heavy editorialized. I know CNN has tried to recreate the image because Jon Stewart used to tear them up every night. And I've noticed during the past, especially this presidential cycle, they try to position themselves as being the balance between MSNBC and between Fox.
Right.
You know, I get
their
that.
viewership drops.
Tremendous drop. But call a spade. And I felt like her ending comment was more directed at Angela than was Joe. Because Joe was coming across as, oh, I'm calm, I'm collected. Angela's upset. You know, so let's we can disagree, but let's be respectful of each other. No, listen, there is a such thing as rage. There is a such thing as anger.
And being offended.
Right. Also, my good Christian friends, we forget that Jesus once turned over tables inside of a temple.
Right.
The Bible says, be angry and don't sin. Those are two different things. So just because you're angry does not mean you're sin. And in the Old Testament, it says there's a time and place for everything. And anger is listed as one of those things that there's a time for. So at this point, President Obama has been out of office. Joe Walsh, you got your way. The Republican Party won. May not have been the candidate that you wanted.
But you got somebody.
But you got somebody in there that you know that you wanted. Why even bring up Obama? Number one,
right? There
is no comparison between. To me, the media is giving Trump the biggest pass known to man in comparison to the microscopic viewpoint that Obama was on. To me, it's crazy. Now, undoubtedly, if you listen to the show more than once, you know that I am a huge Barack Obama fan. Didn't agree with everything he supported. Didn't agree with everything he stood for. No more than I do my man Russ and AD. You know, everybody has their own mind about certain issues. But the way he handled the office of the presidency compared to Mr. Bigley, you know, it's going to be. Have you even noticed? You probably haven't noticed, but now he's so redundant in his word choices that now when MSNBC or CNN or even Fox News, they'll repeat words when they're quoting him. Like about the Affordable Health Care Act that they could not repeal. On all of the little scroll bars, it said, when he was doing a final push, we're going to do big things, you know, and he talks like a fourth grader.
He talks in hyperbole a lot. But, you know, the one thing we have to admit, Trump is taking a lot of heat from the media. I mean, to say that he is not taking any heat from the media, if you Google Trump's name right now, you're going to see 6 negative stories about him, and rightfully so, because he's screwing things up. But I just think it's a bit of a.
Here's the pass I'm saying though. I believe right now that there's evidence to impeach him right now. And I believe that evidence, that's just my opinion, straight opinion. I don't know anybody work for CIA or anything like that.
But I don't think anybody disagrees with you.
Yeah, and so I think that the media is dancing around it.
I think that the only way that you can impeach a president is if the party looking to do the impeachment is in control of Congress. You know?
Or his own party says, in the best interest of our country.
Right, but you know they're not going to do that.
And that's what bothers me about our current
even when they started the process with Bill Clinton, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe that was a Democratic Congress that did that. No. You know, that was a Republican
Gingrich,
Congress,
I believe,
that said, oh, we're going to go ahead and get this process. So, yeah, I mean, there are articles out there now that talk about impeachment, but why talk about something that you know is not going to happen? You know what I mean? The Republicans are not going to bench their player and risk, you know, a Democratic person taking office or giving the office to Paul Ryan. You know, if if Mike Pence, you know, has to go as well.
Yeah, well, I look at it like this, and I could be wrong.
And I say that absolutely not being any way, shape, or form anywhere in the vicinity or the arena of being a Trump supporter.
No.
Right.
I think the constant chasing of the smaller issues and not focusing on the larger issue, and this Trump and his engagement, his ongoing continued proven engagement with Russia and with all the business dealings and reportedly the money that he owes other countries. I think by constantly chasing these offshoots and not focusing pinpoint on that, I think is giving him a pass. It doesn't make sense. So I think that definitely, and listen, anytime I can watch a Sean Spicer interview re-aired, if I'm not near TV, it is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Melissa McCarthy nailed him she nailed him to the wall on Saturday Night Live. And he acts just like that. And the way he conducted himself with yet another African American woman.
Told her, stop shaking your head like she's a 5-year-old child.
Yeah, and she's like, and he said it twice. Because first time he said it, she was like, I'm trying to follow you and I'm trying to get my thought. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Yeah. Then he says it to her again.
Yeah. The whole administration does have that whole attitude, which isn't surprising, of, well, I'm white, and so you better listen to me. Things are in the order that they should be now. And that's awful. And I do think that he's probably what's his name? James Comey or whatever, right? The FBI thing. I think crazy. That there were I forgot what show I was watching or what article I was reading, but from what I've heard and from what I have read, whichever one that got into my mind, there's going to be some stuff that comes over the horizon that may end up forcing the Republicans to start throwing around that impeachment word. Yeah,
because apparently there's some, some stuff is moving right, behind the scenes. I think, I dealt with this attitude doing the very first podcast. We talked about this. My time at Texas, I dealt with
Hook 'em.
I love my institution. I love it. But I'll be honest, I dealt with that Joe Walsh mentality from the day I stepped foot on campus until the day I left. I don't think you had a similar experience at University of North Texas. I don't believe you did.
No.
Which is good. I'm not saying I even recommend anybody to go through anything like that. But so when I hear that tone of arrogance, and when I hear that difference of opinion, and and then to just say, and just because you say something calmly does not mean that what you said is right.
Right.
Just because a person is angry when they're responding to you does not mean that they're wrong.
Right.
But that image of black anger has always been, there they go protesting again. Oh, there they go getting mad again. And it's just dismissing the main point. It's like this whole thing. How can a sitting president who has all this stuff in the world to worry about comment about Colin Kaepernick and saying, see, he doesn't have a job, and everybody's cheering about it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
This man just rented a Turkish airline and dropped food over in the Sudan. On his own dime. Didn't ask none of his partners shipping money, none of that. I don't know if you saw what he did as a result of that. He donated $1 million to Meals on Wheels after Donald Trump made that statement about him. I mean, you can disagree about Colin Kaepernick all you want to, fine. But listen to why he was protesting.
Right.
And I think what happens with us, we get caught up in, I don't like this, I don't like that, and we use that as an excuse not to deal with the real issues. We want to treat symptoms and not treat the real issue.
Right.
The real issue is we still have a pronounced racial complex in this country. The good news is our young people are not as stupid as my generation and on up as we are about this. Our young people are seeing that this is crazy. And all the data shows that. Any type of research shows that. But there is still a remnant of people who I don't know how Sean Spicer. I don't know how he can do that job.
See, that's what I wonder though. Because just like with Paul Ryan, I mean, as disgusting of an individual that you and I and a lot of other people may think he is, we got to see what his true feelings were about Donald Trump and this administration. He's not for it. He's just going along to get along and hold power and to get paychecks and to be able to still do what he's doing. Part of me wonders if this is kind of the same thing that Sean Spicer is thinking. Is he just saying, hey, I got kids to feed, I got to pay my mortgage, and this White House secretary gig or whatever you call them is paying the bills right now. I have to stay in line.
That's no different than a dude on the corner who's selling drugs saying I got to sell drugs to feed my family.
I agree. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Yeah, and so I can't if I can't excuse one, I can't excuse the other. I have an issue. I have an issue with that because Mike Pence is crazy, and he believes it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Paul Ryan is trying to be political, right? So he'll say one thing and then do another, and you can't figure out where he's going. I know I've quoted so many scriptures, but let me quote one more: "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." I cannot trust you if I cannot predict your pattern of behavior. I can't fool with you. Right. I can't. I don't even want. You can't stay in my house. That's why I tell my son: if the agreed upon time for you to come home is X, right, and you continually come home at Y, right, well then that shows that there's a disconnect, right? And if we have talked about it, and then if you can't come home at X, well, since I pay the bills here, then you can no longer stay here. Right. We got to do something different. Sure. Paul Ryan is in a position to where he should have enough backbone to stand up to the president and say, listen, the same bravado he had when Obama was in office, right? I want you to be that same man when Trump is in office, who you're on the record, and they have played the recordings of you saying, and the video of you saying, this is enough. We cannot do this. This is not how. But then I see you're gonna be doing this whole healthcare debacle. Not this week, but last week, and you're just it was a great meeting, and the president closed the deal, and it's going to happen. And then they released a transcript of the meeting. And to Congress, I didn't see that. Oh man, I'll Google it. I'll Google it for you, and I'll show you. They released some of the transcripts, and some of the other Republicans have started coming out and saying, "Well, no, we told them straight up we were not voting for it." Right. So Paul Ryan gets on national TV and lies, and his own party is coming out saying, "No, that's not the case."
And I think out of this entire kind of situation, I mean, everybody knew and knows that politicians bend the truth a lot, but this level of just in your face, looking at you and saying the sky is yellow, and not blinking, not flinching, just sticking to that lie, and making you even kind of question your own senses. Like, is the sky yellow? I mean, everybody keeps saying it's yellow. I've never seen anything like this.
And I think it's a gross miscalculation as to, I think the Bernie Sanders effect started, and I think the Tea Party and the what was the sit-ins that the left-leaning groups were doing, the Occupy Wall Street. Yeah. I think if you're a smart politician, you need to pay attention to what's happening. People are beginning to educate for whatever reason. They're beginning to educate themselves more about the nuances of what's actually going on. And I think Paul Ryan is making a huge miscalculation. And it would not surprise me is when his seat came up for re-election that he did not lose, maybe to a Democrat or to another Republican, because people now are paying attention. What's one good thing about social media is that our young people, like when we were, especially me, I'll take myself. Yeah. I didn't have social media to force me to have an opinion. Right. But if you're on any form of social media, be it Twitter, be it Facebook, maybe not Snapchat, but any of these other forms of social media, political stuff is coming through your timeline, whether you want to see it or not.
And peer pressure is coming through that timeline in relation to those political
I think that the more egregious that they're being, the more some of our young people waking up saying, wait a minute, they think we're stupid. Wait a minute. Let me go register to vote. Right. Trump shook the lowest of Americans and said, these Mexicans are come over here stealing your jobs, and we're going to open up all these coal factories. The immigrant is not working in a coal factory. The robot is working in a coal factory. Right. But they didn't know that. Right. He told them that, and I'm going to be the law and order, I'm going to keep these black folk in line. Well, I just saw a new stat came out. 75% of black America lives above the poverty line. Right. Only 25% of us live below the poverty line. Yeah, so I think, I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling, but let me put a top on it like this and say, I think he's in danger of being unseated by his same lack of having a backbone and saying, I stood up for what you elected me to stand up for what I think is right. This goes against what I think is right, and I stood up for it.
And yeah, that's true. But at the same time, part of me feels, I'm not going to say bad for him, but part of me really recognizes in terms of Donald Trump that he is just a child. You know what I mean? It's like he is not a good person who can discern good judgment and bad judgment or facts from, lies. When you can just hear somebody say something on a TV show, or read something in a far right wing extremists.
And take it like it's a gospel.
And tweet. And feel like everybody should have taken it like it's a gospel. And then not own up to it when somebody asks you a question about it, because you say, well, that's what rightwingcrazies.com said. You need to go talk to those people. Then you just have to look at him for what he is. He's just like a 5-year-old. He's just taking what he sees, regardless of whether any of it is factual. And the sad part about it to me is just that he's able to do that, and he still has a bunch of supporters who feed into it because they also have that 5-year-old mentality.
But what's scary is the gutting of the State Department. All those justices,
EPA.
3 weeks ago, they were all fired. He said they quit, and they all released. No, we didn't quit. We were fired. We were told today is our last day. And what's scaring me is the EPA.
Right.
You know what's scaring me is all of this stuff. Yes, we can laugh some of the stuff off and say, oh, he's a nut. He's a one-term president. Whatever, blah blah blah. But he can still cause a ripple effect that will take us forever to recover.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely in terms of like the United States standing in the world, like everybody else is laughing at us, and everybody else is basically plotting and trying to figure out how they can go ahead and bring us down a couple of notches so that they can move a little bit closer to being the top power in the world.
We are very weak at the top. This is their time, and I'm just it does not Russia's involvement, but also them, and we talked about this maybe 2 podcasts ago. Their battleship coming close to our edges.
Yeah,
you know, I think that was simply a test to see if we did this, what would happen.
Right.
You know, and so be very, you know, because he loved WikiLeaks, right? I love WikiLeaks. I love them. I love them. They're the greatest thing ever. Now we're complaining, and we want to put everybody in jail who's leaking information. It can't be both ways, man.
I was watching the what's that show? Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Yeah. He does an excellent job, doesn't he?
And he does.
His team is amazing.
Well, you know, he's trying to pick up on the back of Jon Stewart.
Correct.
And, you know,
It's
carry that
smart.
torch. But he basically summed up what Donald Trump and what his cabinet is, and that's basically just a really good salesman. You can't call him a bad salesman because he's used his little gimmicks and his little ploys to obtain the presidency. But at the end of the day, big promises, no kind of solutions, no kind of ways for implementing them. But to a certain individual, if you get them in front of them and you say, well, I can make you a bunch of money. I can make you the most money that you've ever made in your life, and your kids gonna be set, and your kids are gonna be set, and you'll have so much money you won't know. There's a certain faction of our population who will buy into that hook, line, and sinker, and that's what he did to get this election. He told all those people all these terrible jobs that, you know, are going away one way or another, whether he wants them to or not. He told them that he was going to be able to convince those jobs to stay and get those terrible jobs back for him, and that he was going to be able to grow the economy at a clip of 4% a year annually, which every economist says, yeah, that's absolutely not
possible.
Like, even in best case scenarios, that's
it would never
happen. There's no way. But, you know, it goes back to what we've kind of talked about on and off on the podcast as well. You know, people being uninformed and not researching and not caring about facts. He sold that, you know, but that's really all he is at the end of the day, is a glorified salesman. He's done a great job, and we'll see if he continues to be able to keep that role after these investigations take place.
Joe Walsh, to me, is in the same boat as Donald Trump. There are people who they're not going to, well, although in my opinion, saying that we lower the standards for the first black president, and that's the reason he was elected, because he was first black president. Get out of here. That's crazy to me. But they want to walk up to the edge of the line of racism to say certain trigger words and trigger phrases to the racist pocket of white America who are still afraid of black people and afraid of, what is this jungle monkey going to do in office? Excuse my language, but that's the kind of
jungle
stuff
monkey,
so they're saying,
jungle monkey,
tar baby, and all the other kind of stuff that was said about Obama publicly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not going to say that. They're not going to come out and say that, but they're going to dance very close to it and say certain keywords to trigger fear. Right? And that's how they motivate their base. Fortunately for America, that base is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. All the stats show that young people now don't have those inherent biases, which is healthy.
See, but I know where you're going. But the thing is that, like, I don't care about right. I think everybody should be independent. We talked about that before.
Of course, yeah.
I think it doesn't make any sense for anybody to blindly align themselves with one party or another.
Not anymore. No, not at all.
But I think that the challenge there with demonizing just the right for this is that this same thing, believe it or not, could happen on the left too.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because the same individuals on the right who aren't following up on things, who aren't doing research to find out if things are true or not, maybe to a slightly lesser extent, but it still happens. I mean,
the father on Get Out was a Democrat.
Right.
I don't think he was Republican. I think he was a Democrat.
Right.
I would have voted for Obama a third time.
Right.
And hated him. And ended up hating. He was the mastermind behind this whole scheme, to rob, to auction off black people.
Absolutely. And that's why I just feel like the main theme for everybody should be just to educate themselves and to let right be right and wrong be wrong, regardless of which party is, authorizing or putting their agenda out there. There definitely could be in a different manner, but same general concept. A left-wing candidate who comes up and spouts a bunch of promises and spouts a bunch of lies, and there are Democratic voters who would be so entrenched just supporting that candidate just because he's a Democrat.
And wouldn't call him out.
They would not call him out because they want to see their person win too. And that's the ideology that I think needs to be banished because there's no good that can come from that. I don't care which side you're on.
Two-party system is just not healthy anymore.
It's not.
It's just not healthy anymore. And I've spoken to a couple elected officials and I asked them, point blank, and they said, "Is really do you need the funding of the engine,
right,
to help you run the campaign?"
So a lot of them don't necessarily align themselves 100% with the party as well, but they know, hey, that's the only way I'm going to get elected because if I run independent, I can't get any money behind me. I get it, and that's the monster that we're in right now. But at some point, there has to be a change. Otherwise, we can't just if Donald Trump has won the presidency with this terrible behavior, we can't just assume that the following candidates in 2020 or maybe earlier, if he does get impeached, whatever, and if something funky happens with Paul Ryan or whatever, we can't just assume that those people will say, you know what, we're going to have some dignity, we're going to have some class, even though we saw what Trump did worked and got him in the office. We're going to do things different. You just can't assume that that's going to be the case. They're going to try to do a copycat move and do whatever they think that they can replicate from Donald Trump's campaign to get them into the White House because they want the power. The same way these people you just mentioned are aligning themselves with the right or with the left, not necessarily because they agree with everything that those parties say, but because they know that's the only way they'll have a real shot at getting elected to whatever office they're going for. I just wonder what has to happen to get people to not be so heavily embroiled in just one party or the other.
Well, I think strategically, and we talked about this, this is on the Democratic side, but I still think if once Hillary won the Democratic primary, if she would have asked Bernie to be her running mate, I think we would have a whole different crew in the White House right now.
Really?
I think Bernie Sanders supporters would have been upset, but I'm not ashamed to admit I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter. So I think they would have. I know I would have. I would have held my nose and voted for Hillary. I voted for Hillary anyway. I couldn't vote for Trump. I just couldn't. And I'm not one of these people. I'm not going to vote. No, too many people died, so I had a right to do it. I'm going to do it. Period. Point blank. I've got to find a way to do it. But I was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter, and I think that the people who did not turn out to vote for Hillary, who just decided they were just fed up with the whole process and said, forget it. I think it's going to happen sooner than later. And because Barack Obama started doing this. Barack used email and a little bit of Facebook, but really email.
Yeah, he did a lot of social networking.
A lot of social networking. The next part, who really can master the messaging in social media? So you got elected officials now on Snapchat.
Right.
You got, on the kids app, they're doing it. Who can master that effectively and efficiently? I think could be the first one that could crowdsource running for president as an independent.
Yeah.
That's who's going to have the voices of people. It's going to be a true uprising.
I would say, though, even that individual, they're going to have some money because, I mean, I don't care how great you are at social media. You can't do it by yourself to amass a following large enough to get you into the White House. But
you got to have money, unfortunately. Even here in Texas, do you know how little the Texas state legislators make?
Yeah, about $5,000, $8,000, something like that.
A year.
Yeah.
That's by design. That's to keep the have-nots from being able to reach the point of making a decision. So if you're a working man, or even if you're a middle-class guy, you don't have enough, you got to take off half a year every 2 years to go and make laws.
I agree with that, but you know what? The other side of it, and you know it too. I don't know how many actual radio personalities that you know, but I definitely think what you're saying is true in terms of its intent on why it's set up that way. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, people may be down there in the state capitol getting $5,000, $8,000 a year, but there are lobbyists from all over Texas coming up to them and saying, hey, vote this way. I might have a check for $40,000 for you. And so while that may be the amount that they actually make, I would doubt if the actual salaries of a lot of those people, even if they aren't, some wealthy businessmen or wealthy whatever, it's probably much greater than that just because of the money they're getting from lobbyists in the state of Texas. Just the casinos in Shreveport alone are probably sending those guys enough money to vote no against gambling in Texas to where they don't have to do anything.
And isn't that I don't know, man. It's something is wrong with that picture. It's we know corruption is happening. Now, the only thing Trump said, because I'm not one of these people that I don't tune him out. I try to listen. Whenever he speaks, I try to listen. So I can tell people why. I don't want people, you just don't like him because I want to be able to tell you exactly why. What he said I disagree with. So when he talked about ending the practice of people who are once Washington officials coming back as lobbyists, I agree with him on that. I really did. I thought that was smart. But of course he hadn't done it. He hadn't done it. But it was something nice for him to say. But it has not happened. I just think that the whole draining the swamp and all that, this is the richest cabinet in U.S. history. Yeah. Let that soak in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the wealthiest cabinet that's ever been assembled in United States history. Yeah. History. And the guy that was brought in to run his campaign had so many ties to Russia and was representing Russia all across the world, and Trump didn't know any of this? Mm-hmm. Come on, man. Nobody's that stupid. Nobody's that stupid. So I think that Joe Walsh he paid a lot of conservative churches and radio stations are going to book him to speak at their banquets, and he can make some money off of sounding racist without being racist, right? And right. And people that share the same faith that I share, who disagree with me politically, will say, "Oh, he wasn't racist," and you guys are just overreacting. But it can't always be an overreaction. The same week, and I know we probably have to move on, but the same week we talked about what Bill O'Reilly said about Maxine Waters. Like this stuff, this stuff is happening too much. Our women have been under attack by this administration, and enough is enough. Enough is enough, man.
And I really just kind of agree with what Angela Rye said in that in that interview as well, because it's very true. I mean, if Barack Obama was almost not elected because of the rhetoric of the pastor.
Oh, the church he
went to. Just because he was sitting in the pew on a Sunday and the pastor started to talk about, chickens coming home to roost. He almost didn't get elected for that. But let Barack Obama
say, I'm going to grab him by the, what?
And then let him have 3 baby mamas by Jaquisha, Lakita, and Shoshana.
Have gone bankrupt 6 times.
6 times.
His father started him off with a $1 million loan, but he bailed him out a couple more times.
Have him be caught in multiple lies, have him be caught in multiple scandals. There's no way he would have made it to the White House.
At all, man.
And so for this guy to say that, the bar was lowered for him, and she said he was a law professor at one of the most prestigious colleges in the country, to say the bar was lowered because he was black is just, it makes you so angry that somebody could be so ignorant to have that type of thought without any kind of base in reality.
And then to say that the guy had you wiretapped.
Right.
And that, was not always
no evidence.
And it's not always through the phone. It could be in the microwaves. It could be,
right.
Oh my good man.
It could be in your socks. Now they're doing it through your socks. It's just, it's ridiculous.
It's a great time to be a comedian though. If you're a comedic writer, if you got any type of political satire show or any hopes for one, you need to be getting your characters together right now, because you're getting so much material every day in the news.
Speaking of, did you see the Dave Chappelle special?
Oh man. Yes, I did.
What'd you think? Did you see both of them?
I saw both of them.
What'd you think?
I thought the one in Texas seemed to be a little bit older, because the jokes stuff he was talking about wasn't as current as the first one.
Well, see, the funny thing about both of those is I was watching an interview with him on, I want to say Kimmel. And, Kimmel was asking him about it and how it happened or whatever. And Dave said, yeah, I taped these. I just decided to tape these years ago. And then Netflix called recently. And they said, hey, would you like to do a couple of specials for us? We'll pay you $20 million or whatever a piece. And Dave kind of like shifty-eyed, looked from side to side. And he said, I literally went into my closet and dusted them off. And
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And collected his check, So, yeah, I think these were all taped probably back in 2014, 2015.
Yeah, so that's why I think as well. But I think Dave Chappelle, the whole, and to our studio audience, it's just gonna be a little rough. Yeah. But the he saves, but he rapes. That was that. Oh,
the Bill Cosby joke.
Oh man. Man, because he left it alone, but then how he came back to the old callback in comedy.
Yeah,
that was textbook.
Yeah,
I mean that was crazy.
Yeah,
I was like, I was sitting. I had to wait till everybody was asleep. Could nobody watch this? I had to make sure everybody was good and sleep. Man, they even then had the volume down, and I was saying, Lord, forgive me.
Yeah,
but it was hilarious.
It was how he
I felt like a little kid sneaking listening to Red Fox. I got. I was like, man, nobody can know I'm listening to this. This is. But it was. I tell you, man, that guy's wit.
Yeah,
man, his wit is. I would not. He's one of the few. I've always had this idea, and I'm putting on airways now because it'll never happen. I wanted to do an old school dozens with all these comedians playing the dozens, and do it NCAA bracket style, and film it. You know what I'm saying? And maybe do it through a live studio audience. But now I had this idea before we had technology. Now we got technology. People can vote online,
right? And
have a yo mama joke.
Do you think that everybody would meet your expectations on that? Because I think
a lot of these guys have writers and they're rehearsed. Right. Chappelle,
he probably could.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you something. His mind.
Yeah.
I think Jamie Foxx. I think.
I ain't heard from him in a long time.
But I'm just looking like guys who I think are just naturally fun. I think Chris Rock, who's one of my favorites, I think he has to rehearse and write his down.
Right.
He doesn't strike me as somebody who comes off the cuff.
Well, Chris Rock is rich enough to the point where he's got a team of writers. Just you ever see that that movie with Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen where it's a really kind of depressing movie where Adam Sandler think he's dying or something like that, but he's not, and he's this big time comedian.
I think I have. It's been a long time though.
And Aziz Ansari is in it.
Okay.
But anyway, I think it's like that where you just got a team of writers and they're writing for him. And I mean, there's no real need for him to come up with jokes on his own if he can get better ones from somebody else and pay him a little bit. Because
I stayed and watched the credits to the end, and all those jokes were written by Dave Chappelle. He didn't have any writers.
Yeah, no. He's sitting out on a farm in Ohio. You know, he don't have a team. He does his own thing.
So I think that old, just that old school, growing up in hood, just sitting there and just going joke for joke with somebody. I think people know that he just doesn't want it the way Kevin Hart wants it.
Right.
Kevin Hart wants the fame. And I'm not this is not a critique. Chappelle doesn't want it for whatever reason. I don't think he wants it.
I mean, I think he's been pretty clear in terms of why he doesn't want it. He
felt controlled from what I read. He felt control,
and he just felt like he was a monkey in a cage. It's like.
Did you hear the analogy he made about putting his hand about how they catch monkeys?
Oh, right. And
putting in the salt mine. Yeah. That was good.
I mean, and I don't blame him. There's that group Daft Punk that wears those things over their head all the time to protect their
I'm a
identity.
Daft Punk fan.
That's genius. They get all the benefits of being famous in terms of
and then nobody knows.
They can go to Luby's and have a fish sandwich or a fish fillet and get a strawberry shortcake and not be bothered.
And not
you know what I mean? And still be rich. Roll out in a Benz or in a Rolls Royce or whatever they want to do. I think that's genius, and I think it makes sense for him to do that. Kevin Hart wants all that extra stuff.
He does.
And a lot of that might be short man syndrome. To be honest, but he wants that and let him have it. But I think it's something cool to know that Dave could have that, but just doesn't want it. So he's gonna kind of play in the medium role and say, okay, go ahead and do it. I could. It's like Jordan saying, I know I could go out every game and score 85, but nah, I'm just go ahead and get 25 today.
Walking away from a game after being a 3-time champion and saying, I'm going to go try baseball. Right. A lot of people try to say, he owed the mafia money, all this Illuminati. That was kind of crazy stuff. I just think the brother just was not motivated to play basketball anymore. I think it was just that simple.
Yeah.
And my dad just died. He always wanted me to play baseball. I got an itch.
Right.
I'm Michael Jordan. Somebody's gonna give me a tryout just because I'm Michael Jordan.
And if I decide I want to come back, I can probably win 3 more.
I can come back and do it again.
Right.
I mean, listen. I thought that was amazing. I really did. Just how much of a monster athlete he was. But for Dave Chappelle to walk away from a guaranteed $50 million, everybody was criticizing him, but I always respected that.
Yeah.
Because I said something must have happened or I've been gnawing at him so bad to where he felt like this was the right decision.
Well, on the Chappelle show, he did all of those really kind of racial skits. And I think he enjoyed it, and his partner Neil Brennan enjoyed doing it, and then he did this interview. I'm a big interview person. I'll go and watch interviews of a whole bunch of successful people just because I want to kind of steal their knowledge and steal whatever tips they may have for free. And I remember him saying that one day they were doing some skit, some racist skit, and he was looking around at all the Caucasians on the set. And he was like, are these people laughing with me?
Oh, yeah, I heard him say that.
They laughing at me.
They're laughing at the wrong points.
Yeah, and he was like, well, when I started to feel like they laughing at me, and then, you got all this fame and everybody's, he said he would go to, one of his biggest skits on Chappelle's show was Rick James. And what Rick James's punchline was? I'm Rick James, expletive. And he said he'd be at SeaWorld, Walt Disney World with his kids, and while he's sitting there with his kids, people would look at him and say, I'm Rick James, expletive, in front of his kids. And he's like, can you not call me expletive in front of my kids? And so I can understand how you can attain that level of fame and then really hate it and say, you know what, if I could give this all up, I really would. There was actually somebody else I want to say that I was reading about or watching an interview about, that said, if they could go back and, be regular and not be famous anymore, they'd do it at the drop of a hat. Just because you lose all your anonymity. You can't go outside and, scratch your butt without paparazzi taking your picture and you being on TMZ and people talking about your sandals and your ashy toes and how you was digging in your behind, you know? So I get that. I get that. But you know what? With that being said, AD, it looks like it's going to be a no-show, and it's late.
And you know, we're going to dock his pay.
We are going to dock his pay.
We're going to dock his pay.
And we're going to
celebrate without him.
Exactly. Eat his cake and crackers and all that good stuff, and he's just not going to get any. And you deserve it.
He didn't deserve it.
So
no call, no show. You know, you get two of them before you get fired.
No call, no show.
You know?
Exactly.
You know,
so no call, no show.
All those jokes about me robbing little old ladies of their macaroni and cheese at Luby's has come back to haunt you now, player.
The chickens have come home to roost.
They have. And LeBron James will be back-to-back champion. And you're not here to do anything about that, AD.
All right. And
LeBron James
right now.
Don't matter. We don't care about seeding. We don't care about seeding. We trying to go back-to-back. We care nothing about seeding.
And
seeding is called the NBA playoff championship, not the... See, we always got to end the show. LeBron James.
Email us at noideacast@gmail.com. Tweet us at noideacast.
Tweet us at LeBron James.
Go to No
Should be the MVP.
On SoundCloud. Subscribe. Like us, share us, comment, all that good stuff. Do the same on iTunes.
Yeah, we appreciate the support. We really do.
YouTube page as well. Once again, special shout out to our special supporters and who brought us cake and all that good stuff today. Andrew Dighton and all the other supporters on Twitter. Thank you once again.
Man, for those of you who've been with us for the majority of this year that we've been together, thank you. Out of all of the millions of podcasts, there's new podcasts every day popping up. The fact you guys take out your time to listen to us means a whole lot to us. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And so for that, for D-Ray,
yes, sir.
Absent AD, Russell No Idea Podcast, we out.
Love LeBron James.